Well, hello my friends, here I am again. And I want to do a project that I have several options that I can go with. And trying to debate on which way to go based on time and on looks. Inside the house I have this glass vase. It's a lidded vase, so it's really not a vase, but it's a nice tall glass piece that I really like the shape. And the shape is something like this. And I'm thinking of making something inspired by this. So many options that I can do. I can do the body as a solid wood and the top as a solid wood with a segmented ring design to go in there, break it off, and then bring that up again. Okay. The reason why I would make these out of Ipe to start off with is because I have quite a bit of this material. Doubled up the length of the drawing on everything. 1.5 from this ring to this intersecting point right here. So that would be 3 inches to double up, and this board is 4.5 inches. So 4.5 inches I think would be a pretty decent size to this. So that would be this 5, 6, 7, plus this ring. I think if I do it from the full board like this, I think I will get the size that I need. Now when you're doing these, and the reason why I said it's different from doing regular rings is because regular rings, generally you're working with small, narrow pieces of wood. And with this type you're working with wider pieces of wood. And you're doing compound miters. And what that means is that the blade has to be tilted as well as your angle. But anyway, when I made this sled, I made it specifically for this chart right here, the upper chart, which is for compounds. And I color coded all the configurations that I thought I would need. Not the size, but the configuration. So if I'm doing an 8-sided with a 60-degree upright would be 11.7 degrees. And I have this orange bar over here, which if I bring this to it, it's going to give me that. And it also tells me that the blade has to be tilted at 19.3 degrees that I got. So I'm going to lock up my fence at that 11.7 degrees. You know, we're splitting 1 degree into tenths when we're doing stuff of this sort. And raise it up, of course. And just like before, you don't have to go much higher than the wood. Alright, and turn my blade to 19.3. So, check this again and see how it works since I've cut this down and verified that it's true. It's a lot easier to verify at this point than it is when you're all done. When you're all done, it's kind of hard actually. Now, don't know if you can see this, but trying to get these at the same distance on the bottom as they are on the top, like that. And if I look, I don't know if you can see this, where they're sitting flat on the bottom, okay, and the top, these cuts are perfectly tight against your inside corner over there. They're parallel with these sideboards. That means that I have a good angle established where I can make all 8 of these. So that's 2. And you can see that it doesn't take much wood at all to complete a ring that will do half of that bowl. 3. Out of that one piece, I still got this much left over. So, easy thing and easy on the amount of wood that you use up. So glue and put it together, put it aside, and make the next one. Now, somebody that I saw doing this, a real artist with doing this type of turning with compounds. He would do these in pairs, in 2s, and then when they dried up, or semi-dried, he would put them in, join them again in quarters, then halves, and then only at the very end he would put the 2 halves together after passing them up on the disc sander. And these cuts, there's no sanding to them, well, at least not with me. It's basically make the cut, spread the glue out, both pieces, and rub it. Rub it back and forth a couple of times. And they start gripping, they start sucking themselves. So right now, basically, I have the base of that base. Now I need to make another one like this, but instead of 60 degrees, I want to make it 45 degrees outwards. So continue with this. Set up the saw now for a 45. So 45 degrees, the miter will be 16.3. And again, I got to color code it. That green bar right there is 16.3 degrees. And the blade angle 15.7. And again, they look good. Okay, so I let this sit for a couple of minutes and I put it together just like I did this one. The only thing I did is I put some additional tape pulling it in. So it's time to make the featured ring to go right here in between there. Okay, so 7-inch ring is 7 times 3.14 equals, I need 22 inches total, and I have enough over there, and divide that by 8 segments. 2 3/4 inches each segment, 2.74. That's 2 3/4. I want to do. So here's my 8 segments. It should make a complete circle without any gaps. And I got 7 inches, 7 3/8 to the high point. Now if I take this on to a bandsaw and cut it up into 45-degree angles this way and this way, I could put a piece of laminate in there, and that will give me somewhat of the design that I was looking for. Pivot point is where it doesn't get hit by the blade. On this one it never will get hit by the blade because I have a stop. That's as far as it will go, just before the bolt. That's the swivel point. On the back of it I have this little area here that I can loosen up and rotate it to from 90 degrees to different points. So 45, and lock it up. It goes over 45, but I don't need it to go over 45. And what I did on this one, okay, was I set the piece up against there, ran it through to the half point, and that's what's the only thing that's offsetting me a little bit, is that it has to end up exactly halfway on this for it to work. So seeing that I don't have a halfway point anywhere, I'm going to see if I can maybe put a couple of clamps to give me a stop on this. Not clamps, I'll put a piece of wood held up over there to give me a stop. I need to come up with a stop for that. Now I have a permanent stop on the sled itself, but it's made to come up is to the fence. And right now I have to figure out is how to stop it to the center of this point. And what I got right there, right now, I think will do it for me. So this was a test piece that I was playing with. So let's go with one piece. Keep this as a reference. So I have to orient it this way and this way. So the first cut, I can go and I can see it over here. It should stop in the center point of this. Together, I'll end up with a zigzag design. I don't think it's well, it's possible for me to get it all on the top as well. So I can do it one way or the other. I think I'm gonna run it on this orientation. One up and one down, and that should be interesting. So seeing that this step is done, so I got all 8 of them, it's time to go ahead and put the rings together. So to make those fillers, assuming that I'm going to make the fillers, it's 45 degrees, just like when I did the star. And you cut it, and then you find the half point and you make the half point mark, and that's what would fit in there. So this is 1 5/8 heavy, so 7/8 looks like 19/16. Three quarters, let's see, 3/4 to this side. That gives me 7/8 on this side, so 3/4 on this side, and the half mark between those two, which is an 8, which is a 16th. So here's my center point to this, and like before, I need that to be lined up with my curve cut, and it should be coming out right up to that. That will be for the next trip to the shop. Well, I have decided to do to fill up both sides. I sponged up another small piece to complete this. I only had 6, and so they're a little bit undersized, but I can fix that by taking this down all the way up to the lowest point. And there are different options to do these type of rings, but I don't want to go into a thing that's going to bore me and take me forever to do something. I want to show the easy methods of being able to do something that you might be okay with or you might like. I'm not saying that it's the best way or the fanciest way, but it will be a way that will get you to where you need to be. I actually, between this, because I just came back yesterday, I did not do anything on this. The last time I was here was 2 days ago. But I went on YouTube and I started watching a little bit of seeing if I could take any pointers that would be easier, or see somebody else doing something that I could come in here and make something that would be a little easier than what I have seen in the past. And it seems like no matter whoever does it, it's a very lengthy process that is much lengthier than what I want to involve into doing something like this. Bottom line is, I want to get out here, start it up, get it done, and get it over with, and go to the next project. So the piece will end up being a little bit thinner. The ring will end up being a little bit thinner than what I wanted, because I'm going to be taking this down all the way up to the tops on these, and you can see that I'm taking off almost a 1/4 inch over here and a 1/4 inch on the bottom, or at least 3/16 on each top and bottom. So this ring will end up being about 1 inch thick. So we're gonna let this stand to the side and dry up. Make up for this shallower part over here. This one is steeper than this one. So we'll do that. This right here is part of the reason why I don't do a lot of segmenting, because I really am impatient when it comes to giving it the proper amount of time that things need to dry up. Now, I know this glue has not dried, and yet I want to get in here and true up this face. So I'm going to go in here and see if I can come up to the top of all of these, so I can reverse this. And this is set up unconventional inside the outside part of my jaws, flat against the shoulder of the jaw itself, and on expansion mode just to grip these 4 points that I got in here. I'm gonna run it, but fairly slow. See how that is. It's fairly true. So go in here nice and lightly. Well, I'm back, and I decided on using this ring, even though it's less than perfect, but I want to see what happens. So I got it mounted back up, just on expansion mode on my jaws and in between centers, and that gave me a pretty good center as far as the piece is concerned. So I'm going to do a little bit of work here and create a tendon a little bit bigger than this to fit into my jaws, so I can reverse it and do turning from the inside. Yeah, much better up here. I can establish that pretty well. So right now I have the middle of the body, I have the base, which is to go into this with some other wood in here, making a ball type transition, and I have the lids to go into this. So the thing that I need to do at this point is mount this up and flatten up this bevel that's up. Pretty true all the way down actually, because the size from these points is fairly close to already the profile that I got here. So I will have to do very little on this part once I flatten this up completely. The fastest and best way for me to do that, of course, is still on the lathe. So I will remove this from here. Last time, even though this ring was not really what I had envisioned, I modified it slightly by alternating the diamonds, and it makes it unique because I haven't seen any anybody doing both this method or this pattern. And this pattern has been, it was a little bit of a challenge, and I would not say that it's for everybody. And I'm not so sure I feel right about it. I could have done them all up at the top or all at the bottom. And either one would work. But this kind of worked for me because it puts each one of these groups, every other one, lined up exactly with this featured ring that's underneath, coming up, making the sidewalls per se of a house almost on this end. And then the points on the opposite end aim directly towards the center of the alternating. So even though this was 12 segments on this particular ring over here, this 8 segment piece worked out fine with every other one. So it was a accidental good thing. I'll work on this for a little bit in this orientation. But anyway, I can address right now mounting a base on this that's going to make the transition and connect to the top and the bottom. I already have a good mortise here to accept whatever I put in here, and that will be made separate by itself basically. And then when I have it all together, I'll just mount it and shape this up to contour and be all part of the piece. But for now, I need to reverse this and start working up on the neck area, which is going to require a little bit of work on this end. Now, I could stuff that up if I'm concerned with, which I am, the jaws crushing the wood grain and cutting, splitting, because this is all side grain on all the pieces. I don't have any piece that's end grain, so it's a very touchy type of a tenon to create. Whether if it was a tenon or a mortise, it's not going to change much. You're either putting pressure or you're putting expansion. On segmenting, I don't advise you put anything on expansion because you have a chance of opening up any seams. So basically, I have from here to here established. I want to open this up more or less in proportion to what I got here on this drawing. And if you know, I did everything basically 3 times the width that I got here, more or less, to keep it in proportion. So width on the drawing, I have 2 inches. I have 6 inches on the piece. To this top over here, to this base, I have 2 1/4 inches. Or yeah, about 2 1/4 inches. So I should have 6, almost 7 inches in this height. And I have about 6.5 to here, but that's going to go further back. The neck is going to be roughly there, because the neck I got almost 1 inch. I got 3/4. So 3/4 and 3/4 is 1.5 plus 3/4. It should be 2 1/4 inches diameter for that. So that will tell me. So basically the neck is not too bad. It's going to start off right about there. So with that being said, now this piece is not true center, so that tenon will throw me off. So rather than force it, I will run it and throw up this hole so I can put the tenon in the live center in there for a little bit. And I think since I'm working on this and there's a slight chance that it will hit it off axis, I will run my steady rest on this. Make sure that I don't have a problem while hollowing this out and fitting a piece into here. This will be coming off the lathe pretty soon because I'm going to make a neck piece for this and actually insert it and make the bottom piece, insert that, and then work the rest of the piece with the steady rest in place. I still have a little bit of a transition step between this top ring and this wood one. I gotta be careful between the two because this will eat up a lot quicker than this. So I gotta feel it with the tool and just dig up from here to here. Got 2 1/4 inches, so I think at this point it's safe to say I can literally make a neck for this that's going to fit, yet I'm not going to be putting it in right away. I will wait. Wait and placing it in permanently, because I can still use this, even though I just said you shouldn't do thing on the expansion mode because you have a chance of splitting up the seams on the wood. But I might need this piece here for a while, I will fit it all and dry fit it and then put it aside at this point, because like I said, I might need this, and then when it's all assembled I can very well place it back in and just sand it and buff it without cutting and relying too much pressure on anything on this. Time to remove it and work. I'm going to work on the neck next, and I might make the transition piece for here at the same time. The neck piece to fit into the neck, this is what I need, and all I got is about 1/8 of an inch to take off on maybe close to 1/4 on both sides. So I will lightly take this down into that to make this part fit into that neck area. Now you can see that by undermining it, it sits tight against the seal. So I will go with my square tool, make this wide enough, make the tenon to the same depthness as this, so that will give me the shape, the contour that I want for this part right here of the neck. And I might do that before even going in there, and then I will part it out over here. So the lid, according to this, is actually sitting on the inside and not the outside. And what I was just doing here would force the lid to be over the size of the neck. But I can still maintain that to be that way by shaping this up to do a little bit of this curvature that I want here. So I'll do that before parting this off. And again, I'm not doing this for a display piece or for wow factor. I am doing this to give you guys different options and different ways to look at what you can do for your turning, and not necessarily to wow me on anything that I do. I mean, do I try to make something look good at the same time? Absolutely, but that's not my goal. Is not to have a wow factor, but to have a wow impact on you guys, on whether if you like what I'm showing or not. I'm going to make the piece to go into the base as well. So it's time to go in there and start making. First thing I need is a tenon to go into this mortise. Okay. So I will reshape the bottom of this. I don't have an option. I have an option, but I would not want to take all of this apart just to redo that. So this has room where I can take it down, make the concave all the way down over here, make a little diamond shape right here, turn it back in to come into my, and the foot base, I can literally just make a mortise on this part, but I have to flip it. So I'll fold a piece of paper towel, maybe 2 times. Seeing that I do need this tenon here, but I need to prep it and make sure that it is a size that's going to go into the base at the very end. So I'm going to well, I think, seeing I can still put this up this way, I think that this is ready for me to put these 2 pieces together and shape and give this piece a final shape. You can see that it's way off proportion on what I need it to do. So I will shape this up nicely, and by going this way with it and bringing my live center on this end, and as well as my steady rest. course, when I do that, I gotta make sure that I match up my segments going up in the same lineup. Of something. Whether if it's the diamond with the diamond, this one with that one, and that's the route that I'm gonna go, is matching up this line with this line, which is smack center with this one over here. So that's a good way of doing this. I could put it in between centers for a little bit, just enough to make sure that I am centered with this. It's pretty well centered, so lightly I'll go in there and start shaping this. "45 minutes or so." So I'm going to go easy and shape this to have some sort of a symmetry, a connection with each other. The body, what I got here is Ipe for the base, the body, and this upper part. Mango for this part right here with the lid and finial. And this nub over here. The center is something that I was playing with. I already had this ring made up here that has these lines, which work out pretty well. It brings up the spaces right in between this triangle, making it look like a house. And then the other one is offset smack center with the upside down one. It was an interesting project, to say the least, just on this featured ring. I had to figure out what I wanted to do that would be a little bit different and that it would work. There was almost a time that I almost discarded this. I was very tempted to discard it and make it traditional, which is a lot more work than what I wanted to do. And what I try to do with my turnings is show the easy methods to a lot of my turnings. All of this was done up to this point other than gluing this piece together. My video card went empty as I was working on the lid. And the lid, basically I had a tenon on the back side, mounted it, shaped it. Actually, had a tenon on this side, mounted it into the chuck, hollowed it out, shaped it, sized it to fit this ring that I already had made up. And then when it was all said and done, I put it back into the chuck on the expansion mode from out here, and I finalized the top and the finial. This used to be the tenon, so I finalized that, and this is what I came up with as the overall shape. The whole piece, I think, is pleasing both in proportion and design. I hope you like it. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And give me a thumbs up, but share it with your friends. Sharing is how word gets around and other people get to see it, and they might like it as well. Well, thanks again. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for taking the time watching, and thank you for all the comments, the wonderful comments you guys leave. Leaves me overwhelmed on the beautiful sayings, you know, and the motivation that supposedly I give some of you to go out to your shop and turn. Turning is the fun part. Recording is okay, but I feel that if I'm encouraging 1 out of every 100 or 1 out of every 1,000, okay, to go out to your shops and try something different or something new, or realize, get some of you to realize that you don't have to buy the best of everything to be able to have fun. And that's the whole thing. Have fun and create something. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. The lids did not work exactly as let's put it this way, I should have looked at the glass piece a little bit better, and today when I went and emptied out the cards to do this session of recording, I looked at it closer and I realized that it looked like it sat like this, but in reality it did a bulge out over here and this type of a profile. It would have made this top look better than what it did, because I didn't realize it. I thought, because I just drew it up while the thing was far away from me. I looked and said, you know, I want to do that. I want to make that. And I just drew it up and not going to pay attention to this little detail. And yeah, it's one of those areas that I wish I had looked at it a little bit better, because I would have rounded this off and I had the material. It's just I was trying to make it as close as I could to the original piece, and yet I do something like this. Huge flaw. Well, you know, we'll leave the perfection for the next one. For this one, this is what it is. Thanks again. We'll see you very soon.